Hello and welcome to another Thursday evening at Be Connected World. We have Drae Ockenden here tonight, who is our cyber specialist, with some more education on everything tech that we as business owners need to know about and need to be all around. I'm going to stop raving on and hand over to you, Drae.
Thank you. So tonight we will be doing an education piece on online security. So this will be going through basic things, and then we'll also do some VPN security and explain how VPNs work towards the end. Most of it's about VPNs, and that's because Kerry said she was interested, and there's a lot of security things involved in VPNs, which I'll talk about. So firstly, I want to do a little disclosure here. I do sell NordVPN on my website, but this isn't a sales pitch. I've been using VPNs for years and I've tried many of them. So everything that's shown in this presentation is things that I've learned from using various VPNs and all of the research that I've done on top of that as well. So let's start with the general tips. So one thing that people don't think about is when they get scam and spam emails, how many of you click the unsubscribe link? Okay, two people. Okay, so I'm about to explain why you should not unsubscribe from spam emails. So the unsubscribe links seem harmless, but the link can be the directive. That can be the call to action that you're directed to. And the reason for that is getting someone to fall for a scam email is hard. It needs to look very good. But getting someone to click on an unsubscribe link is very easy. You just send them something that you know they don't want. You make an unsubscribe link, they're going to click it. You know they're going to because they don't want your email. There's actually a scene, there's a movie called Mr. Robot, and it's one of the very few hacker movies that are actually using real hacking methods. And there's a scene in the movie where the main character is talking about how he sent an email to a company and he made it purposely look like an obvious scam email. And then he added a report button in the email. And of course, making it purposely look like a scam, he knew people would click the report button. So he made the report button do what he wanted it to do. He didn't care if people did anything else. He just wanted them to click the report button. So that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about. So instead of clicking unsubscribe, what you should do is you should block the email address. That'll make it always go to your spam folder, and then you can just ignore it. Once it's in your spam folder, you can just forget about it. The second thing is two-factor authentication, sometimes called multi-factor authentication. Most websites allow you to turn this on, and what it does is it either sends you a code to your phone number, your email address, or you can download an app and it can generate a random token every 30 seconds. And that gives you a second password, basically, that you know is always going to be different, and that protects you online. I know it's annoying to have to find where the code was sent and type it in, but if you get hacked, I guarantee that you're going to regret not spending the extra 5 seconds typing in the code. Cybersecurity training. Now, this includes you and anyone that you work with that has access to your services or your customers' data, because 95% of cybersecurity breaches are due to human error. This includes clicking on malicious links, misdelivering sensitive information, and using things like pets' names, kids' names, and birthdays in their passwords, which can easily be scraped from Facebook, Instagram, all of your social media. So if you use personal details in your passwords, you definitely shouldn't, because it's very easy to get a hold of these days. And the last thing there is public Wi-Fi. Never use public Wi-Fi. I've heard other people say it's okay sometimes, but it's not. And the reason is when you use public Wi-Fi, you are routing all of your internet traffic through that Wi-Fi unit. So if you go to McDonald's, all of your internet traffic, everything that you're searching, everything that you're sending, if you're sending like a form, a payment form, that's going through McDonald's, so they can see everything you're doing. Not only that, if other people are using that same Wi-Fi network, they can access your device on the Wi-Fi network of McDonald's. So some hackers actually go to cafes with public Wi-Fi and wait for people to connect, and then they hack just by going through the internet connection of the public Wi-Fi. Are there any questions about that, about any of these on this page? No? Oh, yes, Lisa?
Just with the unsubscribe thing, what about on phones? Because you know that it's spam and it says report as spam. Would you just not report as spam? Is it the same deal?
On phones, that is actually
like
built
text,
into so that's built into the phone itself. So if it's on your phone, yes, you should click the report button, because that's not part of the actual message. That's built into your phone itself, so that's secure. I think sometimes Gmail emails will have a banner at the top saying this might be spam, report as spam. Gmail does have its official button, and that one's safe to click. But if it's in the email itself, like the unsubscribe link, or near the bottom, if it says like change your preferences or report this email, that's all fake, and that's included in the email itself. So it just depends. That's okay. It just depends what provider you're using. So yeah, like I know Samsung and all Android and Apple phones usually have a report button. Yes, Connie.
Right. But you can unsubscribe from email that you have subscribed in them first yourself. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
So if you know where the email was from, so if you get emails from JB Hi-Fi because you bought something there once and now they keep sending it to you, you can unsubscribe from that because you know the sender, you know that JB Hi-Fi is something that you signed up to, so you can unsubscribe from that.
Yeah, that's they're the only ones I'm subscribed from, because get inundated with about 10 a day from one company. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. If the same company is still sending you emails after you unsubscribe, you can contact them saying that you will report them to the ACCC, and they usually stop straight away. And if they don't stop, you can report them and they will get a $200,000 fine. But
there's some companies from outside Australia that don't have the same thing, so I can't unsubscribe, and they're a pain in the backside.
Most companies usually have an Australian branch which like handles the legal operations in that country, but not all of them. So just check for the country, the company that you're using. That's okay. Any other questions so far? Yeah, Desiree?
You said not to unsubscribe, but to do what? I didn't quite catch that.
So instead of unsubscribing, you can block their email address. And what that will do is that will force all of their emails to go into your spam folder. So if they're already in your spam folder, I always block them anyway, just to be safe. And then
how do you block them? Sorry, that's the bit. Yes.
So that depends on what email client you're using. So if you're using Outlook, Gmail, all of those, so it's different for each one. You'll have to look up the guides. Thank you. That's okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. So next, we'll start the VPN section. So a VPN is a virtual private network, and it is a tool that reroutes all of your internet traffic through a secure connection to the VPN servers. The spoof your location. So VPNs spoof your location, which means it tricks the website that you're viewing into thinking that you're somewhere else. So you can set your VPN to say you're in China, and then when you access a website, it will think you're in China. They also encrypt your data while it is being transferred between servers and services so that it's safe from prying eyes, including your internet service provider, also known as your ISP. So when you go to Google and you search for how can I bake a cake, your ISP, which is Telstra, Starlink, Optus, whoever you get your internet from, they can see everything that you're searching, everything that you're viewing. So a VPN encrypts that data so that they can't see it. So even if you do trust your ISP, so even if you do trust Telstra or Starlink that they won't look at your data, do you trust that they won't get hacked? What about Optus in this example? Did you trust Optus before they got hacked? Did you think, I won't encrypt my data because I don't need to? And then once they got hacked, it was too late. All of that data that they had stored had been released. So this just protects you from them getting hacked as well as if they were to try and look at your data. So blocked services. So some countries block services, such as Russia and China. They block a lot of websites so that you can't go out and read certain topics. This also lets you get around some websites that block VPNs specifically, such as Netflix. So some VPNs let you go onto Netflix, change your country to United States, for example, and now you can see all of the United States movies and shows on Netflix, which you can't do in Australia. And they have two completely different catalogs. So you'll see things that aren't released yet in Australia, and just completely different shows and movies. So it's helpful for that, being able to see more things and open up things that are blocked. Scan for data breaches. Some of these services, some of these VPN providers include a feature where they will scan the dark web for your email, phone number, and other details, and they will send you an alert if they find any of that information. Some VPN providers also have protections against downloading malware and ad trackers. So if you're downloading an attachment, it does a scan of it to see, is it malware? And it will block it. So it's kind of works like an antivirus in that way, but it's not a complete antivirus. It's just a little bit helpful. It also blocks tracking cookies. So if you're on Google search and you're searching for things, each time you search, obviously Google is tracking your information so that they can serve you better ads. This also blocks some of that tracking so that they can't track you as well. Any questions on this page so far? Connie?
Yeah, is that expensive, Drae?
Yeah.
The VPN?
Sorry, what's that?
Is the VPN expensive?
I will get to that in the last slide and you'll see why. There's a very big, there's a lot to talk about with that. Anyone else? Lucia?
So, now this is going to be one of those questions, right? One of those dumb questions. It's like, okay, how do I know if I've already, like, where is the VPN? Like, is it something that's on my laptop? Is it something I've got to buy? Is it something that needs to be installed? Like, please.
Yeah, so it's an additional service that you can buy. There are free ones, but I will get to that at the end and you'll see why.
Yep.
But it's something that needs to be installed, and it needs to be installed with additional permission. So you don't install it like a normal app. Like you can install it on your phone as well, but not only do you need to install the app, but when you open it, it then needs to be directed to your phone settings, and then it changes your phone settings so that instead of connecting to your Wi-Fi, it changes your Wi-Fi in your phone so that it goes through an encrypted tunnel, which stops other people from accessing it. So you usually know if you have one because it's something that you need to install, and it's not like a one-click install.
Okay.
That's okay. Anyone else? Desiree.
Hey, I've seen on my work laptop, whenever I'm doing somewhere, that it tells me to allow VPN connection. And when I look for VPN on my laptop, my network and internet settings, it says allow VPN over metered network, allow VPN while roaming, and both of these are on. Does that mean I have VPN or is it built in? What does that mean? I just know it pops up every now and then I press allow VPN. I don't know where I got it from, if it was built into my laptop or is that a freebie that's on. What's going on?
Are you using a Windows computer?
Yeah.
So if you're using Windows, if you go to settings and then you go to network and internet,
Mhm.
there's actually a VPN option there. It should be the third one down.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you click on that at the very top, if it doesn't say you have a VPN connected, then you don't. The VPN while metered and while roaming just means that if you have like a laptop, for example, that has a SIM card with data, does the VPN, like should the VPN turn on while you're not on Wi-Fi? That's just what that means.
So you said set, so go through that again, settings, so for the,
Yep.
and then
So
the
if you
system.
Yeah, so settings
Okay.
and then network and internet,
Yep.
and then there's a VPN option.
Yeah, I see
And
that.
then
And yeah.
at the top, does it say VPN connections? Does it say add VPN?
Yeah, so I don't have one.
No, you
Okay.
don't have one. Okay. Any other questions? No?
Yep, I do.
Oh, yep, Lisa?
Sorry, I use
That's okay.
Firefox as my browser, and I know that I can open in, I thought it was the VPN on a private page. It opens up like another whole thing, and it's all like dark color and all this sort of stuff. And is that like its own VPN in the Firefox browser?
So it sounds like the secure browsing window. If it goes all
That's
dark,
different.
that's usually
Yeah.
the private browsing. There are browsers that have VPNs built in, like Tor. Tor is the browser that you need to access the dark web. So it has VPNs built into it, but most browsers don't.
I got Tor somewhere, but then I don't know how to use it, and then I just like, it's sitting somewhere in my computer.
Yeah, most people don't need Tor because it's not useful for like everyday browsing.
Yep.
Like
Okay.
it can be, but yeah. Any other questions? That's okay. No, awesome. So now I'm actually going to show you the kind of like structure of how this works. So can you all see my mouse, hopefully? Yep, awesome. So at the top here, we've got my computer, which is me opening my browser, accessing the internet. And for this example, we're in Australia. So when we don't use a VPN, we search for youtube.com. So what happens is my computer sends the request to my internet service provider, which in my case is Starlink, but for you it might be Optus or Telstra. They then send it to the website, which is youtube.com. YouTube then sends the video back to them and then back to you. In this case, when we're not using a VPN, the internet service provider can see everything that we're accessing. And they do that because they need to know where to route you. But even more than that, they just want that information. So they can encrypt it if they want to, they just decide not to. When you use a VPN, however, we go through this black line. So this is encrypted. So when we still come to the internet service provider, because we're still accessing the internet, they can't see what we're accessing. For them, it's just a bunch of jumbled up numbers and letters. They then send us to the VPN server. For this example, we're going to say that we joined a server in Norway. The server then sends that to YouTube. YouTube then sees that we're in Norway because that's what the VPN says. And so from YouTube's standpoint, we're in Norway. The ISP can't see our information, but for us, everything works normally. We searched for youtube.com. Both ways, we still get there. Either way, this one just takes an extra step and makes it more secure. Are there any questions with this diagram? It is very simple. I rushed it together. Yes, Connie?
Okay. Sorry, I probably asked too many questions. So
That's okay.
through the VPN, for example, if you go to China, you can't get on Facebook and Google and stuff like that. So what happens if the server says that I'm in China? Does that mean it blocks me?
So if you're actually in China, you can use a VPN to say you're in Australia. So that's what this diagram shows here. So we're in a country up here, and then we can connect to a VPN in a different country. So when we access a website, such as Facebook in your example, Facebook will think we're in wherever the VPN is set. So if we're actually in China, we can set it to say we're in Australia. and then Facebook will think we're in Australia, so it'll let us access it.
Yeah, I think my question was more like that one's picked Norway. What happens if Norway has restrictions? Does
So if
that
Norway-
affect us?
Yes. So if Norway has restrictions, then it'll be blocked because it thinks you're accessing it from Norway.
So how do you override that?
If Norway's blocked, you can't. So if you just choose a different country, so if
Okay.
Norway's blocked, you just choose a different country that's not.
Thank you.
That's okay. Lucia?
And Drae, to that point, like to extend on what Connie just said, so how do you set your computer up to look like you're in Norway? Like, what do you do?
That depends on the VPN provider. So different software have different ways of doing it. It just depends on the software, but it's usually a very simple install. I can actually show you after this what NordVPN looks like because I have it installed and I'm using it. So I can show you how simple it is. Any other questions on this slide? No? Okay. So next we will talk about the last details. So at the bottom there, you'll see the free VPN things. So let's start at the top. So at the top, always look for a VPN that has an encryption level of AES 256. This is actually military grade encryption, and it's very secure. So it should be used by all of them. It's not hard to set up. It's actually widely used. We also need to make sure that the VPN provider doesn't store any logs. Like I said before, if they store logs of what you're accessing and they get hacked, now the hacker has everything that you access, as well as the data that you send to that website. Some VPNs are also slow while you're using them because they need to connect to different countries, like I showed in the last diagram. But there are also other VPNs that you don't notice a speed difference at all. And of course, having more servers accessible is the goal. So some VPN providers only let you access a few, others will give you thousands of options. This is the last slide, by the way. I'm trying to get through this. So the bottom there, the free VPN warning. So this is a very big warning that I need to give to people that are thinking about possibly using a VPN. When you are using a VPN, if we look back at this diagram, all of the data that you are accessing is being routed through the VPN server. So in this scenario, it's encrypted because this is a trusted VPN provider that the diagram is based on. But not all VPN providers encrypt the data. There's actually a famous example by Facebook. Facebook did an advertising campaign where they wanted to protect their users and increase their security. So they promoted a VPN for everyone to download onto their devices, and it was free. It turns out that the VPN was actually just a wiretap as a way to steal everyone's information and see what they were accessing so that Facebook can use it for targeting ads. According to the ACCC, they use the data to support Facebook's market research activities, including identifying potential future acquisition targets. So they tricked people into downloading a free VPN just so that they could see everything they were doing and steal their data. And it's not just Facebook that's done that. There's a lot of free VPNs that do that because they need to pay for all of their servers somehow. Yes. Any questions? That's all. No?
I thought you were going to tell us about costings. Sorry,
Oh,
Drae.
yes.